I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today we have another amazing guest. She has been in multiple productions of Cats, most recently as Jennyanydots in last year's and early this year's Australian tour. So welcome, Leigh Archer, and thank you for joining me.
No, thank you. Lovely to be here.
I'm excited to have you because I love that you've gotten to do this in different, with a pretty long gap in between. Like you did it within 10 years apart in between. So I've always loved Cats because you have that ability.
I think it was more like 30 years apart.
30 years. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You are right. I am misreading that. 30 years apart. Even crazier.
It is even crazier. Yes.
So let's start though with the beginning of learning about Cats, because you did it the first time in 1994 and this has been around for still 10 plus 12 plus years at this point. So what was your introduction to Cats the musical for the first time you saw it, the first time we learned about it?
Okay, so the first time I really knew about Cats was when I was actually auditioning for it. I knew it was around. I had been given a job as a dancer on the big football show, like the grand final. And we were actually dancing to this piece of music, and we found out that it was actually the music of the ball from Cats. So that was probably my first introduction to Cats. The choreographer had actually been in Cats the first time in Australia, and that was David Atkins. So that's probably why he chose that piece of music. And then I was in a musical and I was told, oh, you'd be great as a Demeter. We've got auditions coming up. Make sure you go. So that was sort of my next introduction, and I actually got the job of Demeter.
So you did a piece of the Jellicle Ball dancing at a football match.
Yes, but it wasn't the choreography. We just had the music.
Just the music.
Yes.
Okay.
And at the time, it was quite a big hype because it was like, oh, this is the music of Cats. And Cats had only just really come to Australia and had just been introduced to all of us.
I can't imagine. I mean, I'm thinking I go to a lot of sporting events still myself, and I can't fathom going and seeing at a halftime show or, an interval at any point, just hearing like a big 80s musical number like in the middle of it. It's like such pop music and hip hop and all this stuff now that it'd be a little jarring, but I kind of love that.
It was a long time ago. I was actually 14 at the time, and we were meant to be 16, so we all sort of lied about our age to get the job. So it was like my first professional job. So I was like this. I was just a young girl, really, just doing what I loved. And it was 3 weeks rehearsals, and then we did the big grand final and the flags flying, and I think there was over about 100 dancers.
Wow!
Within the whole performance, yeah. So it was quite amazing.
And this was in Sydney, Melbourne. Like, where was this?
Sydney, in the city of Sydney. Yeah.
Amazing. So So I like that you fudged the numbers a little bit in there so you could get this job. You danced to the music of Cats at a football match, and then shortly after they're like, "Hey, come audition," and they maybe don't care at your age at that point if you're 14, 15, or 16, or.
No, I sort of, now the timeline changes. So I was probably about 10 years later, I did my first musical, which was Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat. And it was from there that then they said, come and audition for Cats. Yeah.
Okay. So now you've got a little bit of period of time. You've done some other professional work, I'm sure. And you're doing another Andrew Lloyd Webber show. And now they're like, hey, you're ready to be Demeter. And so, how did you prep for the audition? Like, is this point, like the 1998 movie's not around? Like, there's not there's less source material to go to at that point for Cats.
Yeah, so I think I was just very, very naive, very young. And I know at the time, I remember the musical director in my audition going, focus, Leigh, focus, because I think I'd been working with him. And I get into the audition, and I think I was just a little bit naive, thinking, will I get this? I don't know. Here I am, la, 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 la. And then he actually said, would you focus, Leigh? So I realised, okay, they're seriously looking at me for this. So, I think I just went in and did whatever they wanted me to do.
And then I'm always fascinated. It's got to be hard to look back at this a little bit at this point. You know, you've had a long career and done many things, including just recently doing this. But what do you remember about the rehearsal room the first time you went through it, especially about like Demeter's character? Because it always fascinates me that Demeter's plot is one of the few things that's like accepted 100% truth across every production I've ever seen, is that the relationship with Macavity is 100, like it's always played that way. And so what was that for you? Like, do you remember kind of going through and learning how to be a cat, but also learning this kind of crazy, chaotic story?
I can. I had the most wonderful experience. So I was doing my musical in Sydney, and the shows were crossing over. So I had to fly to Melbourne for rehearsals for Cats, and then fly back and do the shows in Sydney of Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat. So when I'd fly down, the show was already up and running in Melbourne. Cats was already running in Melbourne, so I was joining the cast. So I did a lot of the rehearsals on my own, just one-on-one with the director choreographer, Joanne Robinson. And then she brought the cast in to work with me. I probably was in the last week. And to make me be a part of the show, we did this exercise where I was Demeter. I was the nervous, neurotic, scared. Basically, they said, Macavity used to attack my character, Demeter. So she's very fearful of Macavity. So being in this new environment with a whole lot of new people, I had to be absolutely terrified. And then as the other cast members came in, they had to calm me down, and I had to find trust within them as a group of people to then lean into being safe, if that makes sense. Am I making sense? And so I was thrown into this rehearsal room, and it was just this crazy interacting with everyone, and until they had all completely calmed me down. And it was this amazing, amazing feeling where I all of a sudden was accepted by the tribe of cats. And we all felt it. It was great. So it was a real acting, connecting experience that really set me up for the whole of the tour.
Yeah. There's got to be some nice, like, there's some truth and fearfulness of like you're coming in and you are the new person and in that part. So there's got to be a little bit of that, almost not fear, but that uncertainty as you walk into that room to begin with, and then you get to kind of harness that into the character. I'm sure that's, there's obviously the acting part of all this, but I also think a lot of the, like, how do you bring your personal life to those moments? And there's like, I've heard some crazy stories about like Grisabellas that they've like purposefully held out from rehearsal rooms. So there's like a little bit of animosity for when they come on stage, and like all this like methodology that they've used. And so there is some probably truth to some of that just happening naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But it really gives a depth to the show and to the characters. And that I think the audience, do they pick up on it? I don't know, but it hopefully it adds color and flavor to what the show is all about. Yeah.
So now you're doing the show in Australia and you go to Asia, as part of this tour. What's the reaction like in 1994 for Cats? Like, this is, again, still, it's like a hit, right? Like, this is the peak of it for, it's being introduced for the first time, or really not the first time. I think it's been Australia before at that point, but
yes, it is
like at its peak still.
I think it could have been the first time overseas, maybe in Korea. When we went to Korea, we literally opened, it was 3 stories of audience, and it was like we were rock stars. they were absolutely standing and cheering for the whole of the performance. And there's a beautiful little scene where Demeter sings, she haunted many a low resort, just to Grisabella. And in every other show that I'd done, the music just continues on and Grisabella leaves the stage, and that's great. In Korea, the audience absolutely went and cheered after the number. It was the most bizarre reaction because we'd never had that reaction in any other place. So Korea just absolutely loved it. They were mad about it.
Yeah, I've heard that over the years because like they were just recently there a couple years ago, and I know they're supposed to be going back at least through other parts of Asia this upcoming year, and
Nice.
they just have a massive love for the show, and like almost it feels a little opposite of Broadway at times, where Broadway there's this like massive debate right now about the etiquette of Broadway and of the audiences, and it seems like it's not that it's bad etiquette, it's that just it's the pure joy and love for the show that is like the energy comes throughout the entire thing versus kind of sitting and waiting for the clapping beats that should come later.
Yeah. And I think we experienced that just recently with this last tour. Certain towns we went to just loved it, like Melbourne. Melbourne's a big theatre place, very different to our Perth audience where they're a little bit more reserved. Melbourne just loved it on their feet, and the passion that came from the audience was quite amazing.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about revisiting a show that many years later. You're coming in as a different character, and you get to kind of pull a different storyline through, but also to come back to material that in a different way with that long of a break in between. What was it like in the beginning of that process?
Well, first of all, if you'd asked me if I'd be in Cats again, I would have absolutely laughed and said, don't be ridiculous. Because I think when I finished it back all those years ago, I felt so fulfilled, so rewarded, and my body literally, I went, I will not be able to do that again.
Yeah.
So to come back and what am I? I'm 56. So to come back as the 56-year-old, I went, okay, I'm playing an older character and I'm the motherly character. And I went for the audition and I went, well, we'll give it a go, see what happens. And they got me into the dance room, which was for the movers, not the singers that moved, not a dance call. I went, this is great. And we started doing a step from the ball. And I went, oh my God, I can't do this. This is ridiculous. And then all of a sudden my body went, oh, I know what this is. And this muscle memory came in and it just felt fantastic. Of course, my legs weren't up over my head. They were 90 and 45 degrees. I just worked the upper body. And the muscle memory was just amazing. And I'm pretty sure that's the reason why I was able to get through this time. I also thought, an older character, the mum role, it's going to be a lot easier. Of course, this time round, little did I know that they'd actually re-choreographed the whole tap routine, and it was now this huge full-on tap number, which was very different to when I did it back 30 years ago. So I really had it. It was quite a shock coming into the rehearsal room going, oh my gosh. And how we're just talking about Tommy before, he was teaching us the show. And I said, Tommy, I can't tap that fast. And he goes, yet. You can't tap that fast yet. And he was so supportive because by the time we did get to opening night, you're breezing through it. You're going, yeah, this is it. I can do it. But big shock to the system 30 years later.
There's been a lot of talk about how Cats is one of the few shows that you really can do throughout your career, like on the male side, the female side, whatever, any in between. There's just a character at every stage of life that you can kind of keep doing until you're like Gus, essentially. Until you do the Gus character. But they all still, almost all of them still are really heavy dance numbers. Like there's not. Like there's Grisabella now on a lot of, especially the tours, dances the opening number a lot, and there's just not a lot of breaks in there. So I kind of love hearing you're ready in the mover section, as you called it, the singer section, but then it's like, no, you're still going to do a lot of dancing through this whole show.
Oh yeah, non-stop. And I look back and I go, I'm very proud of what I achieved, because it was a beautiful gift given to me that allowed me to get my body back into the dancing and performing. Like I've been working as a singer mover for so many years. My dancing years, sort of calling myself a dancer, I wouldn't have done that anymore. But now, after doing Cats, I go, yep, I'm a dancer. I can dance.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful gift for me to be able to do it. Yeah. And have that challenge, and to have people believe that I could do it was really wonderful as well.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died. When you walked into the rehearsal room this time, how much of your original Demeter back, like the story that you had from back then, you're bringing into this? Like, are you embracing the new Demeter and being like the motherly Jenny to in the rehearsal? I mean, like I've talked to a few people. I haven't had any recordings with the cast yet, but I've talked to a handful of them, and it's like you are dealing with a younger group that's in some cases early in their career, and it truly is like the kittens that you have to be the mother to.
Absolutely. Actually, one of the beautiful boys I worked with, he's the same age and the same birthday as my own son. So it's like we are a generation apart. So coming into the rehearsal room, I did find it very daunting. I think a lot of them are like, who the hell is she anyway? Being the older, I don't feel older, but I can see that they'd look at me and go, what's she doing here? And I think it took a while just to warm, to be accepted. It is that a lot of them had worked together before. So, it takes a while to be accepted. And I think the whole time I always was the older woman in the show too.
Yeah, were they teaching you TikTok and trying to get you into their dances and everything? They were busy.
They didn't bother doing that. They were all doing that. I did one little video with one of the guys, which was great fun. But we all jumped on that, and so. But no, it's very different times too. I'm finding the protocols of backstage and the etiquette of how you behave is very different to what I've been used to and to the Cats in the past. So, I think that did make a big difference to coming back doing the show again.
Yeah. Can you speak a little bit more to that? Because I am fascinated by like the Cats stuff does really well on social media, because it's jarring when you're like just scrolling through and you're doing the social media, whatever scrolling you're doing on whatever platform. It stands out. Like it really stands out to have somebody in a full Cats costume.
Oh,
and so it does really well, and you see a lot of it. And at the same time, I hear these crazy stories of tours where you're between shows walking around a city in full Cats costume because you're not getting out of the makeup. But it's before the times of a camera phone, and having that kind of like that interaction, and you have those kind of unique experiences that aren't just being documented at all times. So what was it like kind of doing this craziness of a show and having those experiences, again, 3 decades apart, with the technology being so different?
Well, we had a lot of, there's protocol of how you're to video yourself or to send photos out of yourself, and you weren't to, I think I had to be in full costume or not at all. Be very mindful of not to be with a human, someone who's just so for the sizing and to make I think there's a lot of thought that had to go into whatever went out on social media. So back in the day, we never had to worry about that. We weren't allowed to go outside with our makeup on. I know that. Okay,
so you didn't go between shows, and because that definitely happens now. We see people out in between the matinee and the night show just roaming around.
That would be publicity. That's specially done, if you know what I mean. It's not like...
Okay.
Well, for us, as a rule, we weren't allowed to leave the theatre. If we had our makeup on, we could keep our eye makeup on, and we had to wear sunglasses. and you had to take the rest off. Yeah, we weren't allowed to be seen outside in our cat's makeup or costumes. So I think there was a lot of publicity that was done where you were fully dressed as a cat and they'd take you out into the streets. But that was very guided and all for publicity, I'd say. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I'd love to hear a little bit about the relationships you played with the other characters. And I'll go through both of them, but as Demeter first and then as Jenny, because the Demeter one and there's a lot of uncertainty with how you approached relationships. With Demeter, with Bomb Ballerina, are they sisters? Are they lovers? Are they best friends? And all these other things. And so did you definitively nail some of that down as you're doing this show? And if it's easier to talk about Jenny because you did that more recently, I'm always fascinated by what did you define and what was just kind of inferred because you didn't really need to know?
Well, I think you can take it as far as you want. A lot of it can be just in your own head. You can change the story and the relationships. But I think back when I did Demeter, my Bomb Ballerina, she was like she's a friend, like a mentor, an older character that nurtured me a little bit. To me, she was the one that's out and about and really sexual and she's probably protecting me because she knew that supposedly Macavity had attacked, and the story was that Demeter had been raped by Macavity. That was back in my day. I'm not quite sure if that's the story now. I don't know if they go that far, but it was very intense.
It still is.
Yeah.
It still is. And it's the craziest thing to me that's like the one thing everyone agrees on. Like of all the different things that people can say, no, I think that I'll just using Bomb and Demeter, some people think they're sisters for sure.
And there's that
and a lot of people
connection.
Yeah. But
Bomb's definitely
100% of
one.
casts. Yeah. It's fascinating to me.
But that's the storyline too, because there has to be a reason why when Macavity arrives, Demeter's always the one that goes berserk and he's paranoid and it's Macavity. So she's the one that has that total terror of him arriving every time because she feels he's going to come to get her again. And he interrupts the night, well, supposedly, at least 3 times, I think. It's meant to be Macavity and it's not. And then we think, oh, it's Macavity, it's not. And then it finally is Macavity, he's here. So, it's quite a big storyline. So to have that reaction, I guess that's why it's always stuck and been quite a story that's led through, maybe.
Mm-hmm. What about with Jennyanydots? Like, how'd you play the relationships with Grisabella and with any of the other Old Deuteronomy, like all those different characters?
Okay, so my connection with Grizz is that we used to be great friends. We used to put on shows. We used to be the showgirls of the tribe, and then Grisabella decided she wanted more and she left the tribe. And I found that very hurtful and very disappointing, and maybe that I was as Jennyanydots, I was like, how dare she leave us and leave me to look after all the young ones? And we had a team act, a show going on, and she took off to find bigger things. Did she find them? Maybe for a little bit, but then she sort of went down the wrong pathway. So when she comes back, Grisabella comes back to the tribe, it takes Jennyanydots a little bit to warm up and open her heart up and accept her back in. But she does. She does.
Okay. So best friends. And then does Jenny consider herself like a candidate for the Heaviside Layer? Like, are you playing into, I really want to be like, tonight's my night?
And that's why I put on this whole performance. I've rehearsed the whole year, and I've got all the other kittens and that to dress up as the cockroaches and the mice, because I'm presenting myself and going, here I am, I'm ready. So yeah, my whole number is all about, it's like the beginning of the show to say, take me, take me.
Yeah. Yeah. And then your old friend comes in and ruins the night.
Ruins the night. So I'm really quite peeved about that. Yes.
Yeah.
But then I soften. And that's why when she comes, we want her to go all the time. We get away. And you're just revolting. You smell now. You're not like you used to be. You're just a dirty old cat. Go away. So you do see that we do eventually warm up. Well, Jenny does open her heart up to her and accept her right at the very end.
When you've now done the show twice, and I imagine the first time your family comes through and watches it as you're, younger in Demeter, you have to explain the chaos of this show. But what was it like the second time? Like now when you have like your son coming through or you have your family watching you perform this show, the show now has got a lot more opportunities to see it. There's the 2019 movie. There's the new stuff on Broadway. It's coming back to London. There's variations. What prep did you give to any family member or friend that was going to come see you as to this is what Cats is going to be? Or did you just say come in and watch and figure it out?
My husband and my son came on the Sydney opening night, and I believe at one stage my husband turned to my son and went, "This just got really weird."
Yeah.
But my husband's been back for about 5 other times and he loves it. He says, I don't understand the story. But he said, I love the music and the dancing and the singing. So he loves the whole thing. I think my son, they were quite surprised. Was this the first
time he'd seen it?
Yes. And my son, they were very shocked at the amount of dancing I was doing and how hard I was working. I took on a whole level of respect in the household. Afterwards, they were like, oh my gosh, you rest. We'll run a bath for you. You rest. So, it was when they saw it, it really did, open their eyes. And of course, my mum came and my brother's been a performer in musicals many years ago. And he looked at it and said, my body just hurts watching you.
Yeah.
And Mum just said, I cannot believe you're doing what you're doing at your age. So they're all very proud and, blown away. So it was lovely.
It is a huge takeaway the first time I saw the show as a non-dancer, non-theater person is I was like really fascinated by the athleticism that I saw. Just not... I'd not been to that many shows where they're just dancing the entire time. And I kept looking, going like, for me, I'd seen a sporting event like the night before. And I was like, I just watched 2 extremely different, but the same level of athleticism. Like what they're doing is different, but the training that has to go into that, the endurance that has to go into that, and especially a show like Cats, your one break is, well, I guess you get to lay down before your song for a little bit, but generally your break is Mungo Jerry Rumple Teaser, and that's it. Like the rest of the time you're out there. Yeah.
It is one show where you are on stage most of the time. You don't sit around backstage very often at all. So, and when you're on stage, you constantly have to be on. So you still have to be in character. You still have to be focused, have to be committed. Otherwise you just look like a human dressed up as a cat. So the more you can actually lean into it and you don't have to move. You can just cats sit very still, but you have to be committed to that sitting still and have that story going on in your mind to make it real.
Yeah. I love to hear some of the memories that you have from doing this, especially the first time. What are some of the stuff that like are burned into your brain that you're just never going to forget from that experience? Either funny moments or things that were unique from that experience. And then the same thing for this past year. What are some of the highlights?
Oh my goodness. Gosh. When I first did it, well, to be able to tour with the show and to go overseas was just quite spectacular. It was a beautiful opportunity. The talent of people that you're always working with, there's so much talent with everybody, and you learn and you laugh and you play with people all the time. So that's always beautiful. This time round, what was lovely is having some people that I worked with 30 years ago come and see the show, and I'd catch up with them afterwards. And that was always, it was just beautiful because I might not have seen them since I did the show, but coming back together, we had this beautiful connection of the show and an understanding of what it's like to do the show. So that was always a beautiful highlight this time around. Yeah.
Are you trying to talk them into coming back, being like, hey, you're ready to do this character, or get them in?
Why not? Look, I think I'm being one of the lucky ones that have still been able to do it and keep performing, and I really hope that continues on. I think a lot of people do move on into other areas with their life and careers. So, yeah. But there is a lovely bond and understanding, which is really, really nice.
I know you talked a little bit about performing in Korea. What was Singapore like there? Because it's, again, you're going in the 90s. The country's only 25, 30 years old at that point. Like it's probably not what I lived there for a little bit, but like it's modernized so fast. But what was the reaction? Because that's got to be the first time or one of the early times that Cats went to Singapore.
Yeah. Look, Singapore, to me, I think Singapore was the first place we went to, and it seemed very strict and very clean and very well behaved, and you weren't there rules and regulations walking down the street. So by the time we did fly into Hong Kong, and there's lights and a bigger vibe, so I can't actually quite remember the audience reactions. Yes, received beautifully as a show, but nothing that makes you go, the Singapore audience were. We had a beautiful we had a pop star, a Singaporean pop star as our Grisabella when we were in Singapore. And that was
wow.
Yeah, so that was exciting. So that was the real get the bums on seats. They'd come to see her as well. Yeah.
I'm kind of fascinated. When I lived there, I went to one theater experiences. It was a very what's the right word? Like laid back and very respectful crowd, but not the most into it. But then I went to a basketball game and it was like rowdy. And so that's what I was like, I was very curious of how they approached it. Cause like I've only had small experiences myself, but it's also, years later as well.
Yeah. That long ago, I'm finding I couldn't actually say yes. I think they were just a very normal audience. If, a respectful
just Cats fans,
theater audience. Yeah. It was when we went to Korea that the audience, we went, oh my gosh, it's a rock concert. That was the big change. Yeah.
And what would you notice about the difference in the most recent run of, like, again, Cats has been well known now. Like, it's not the playing the Joker ball on a soccer football finale, like a halftime. It is. It's around, like it is a very well-known piece. So was it a much more rowdy and audience?
I think the passion that the audience brings in, and even the younger cast members, they all grew up going, I want to be in Cats. Cats was they've all grown up on Cats, and you'd look out into the audience, and some nights you had people dressed just like we were. They just had so much passion. One lady flew her whole family from one city to another, and they don't just come back once, they'll come back 2, 3 times, 4 times, some of the diehard fans, and just all the beautiful little cards and little handmade tales and things that get left at stage door for us all. You just go, oh my gosh, the passion and the love for this show is amazing.
Yeah, it's universally loved regional, like across the world. It has its haters, but that's a different thing.
I think you either love it or you hate it. And,
yeah. But you're right that I think there's this moment of, especially after the 1998 movie came out, a lot of people grew up learning dance because of that, or like watching that VHS and watching that tape. So there is as I've interviewed so many people, there's so many people I've talked to who are like, I watched that movie all the time and I danced because of that. Like I wanted to be the white cat, or I wanted to be this one because of watching that movie. And I can only imagine how many people had their love for dance amplified because of that one piece of Cats, VHS. And so to hear that your cast now is a group of that grew up on it is part of what I'm sure makes it fun, because they also have probably their own theories and they have their own thoughts, and it's not completely new to them and learning something. It's known material.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yes. And it hasn't really dated. It's most of it is all the same as what it was when it originally started. So it's lasted the time. It's, you
Yeah.
know, it really hasn't. Yes, things have changed, and but it really has, yeah, carried through
Okay.
right down to the sets and the lighting, and you step away and it really does look quite spectacular. And it's all live. Like there's no recorded vocals. Everyone's singing and dancing. It's all, yeah. It is just what you see is what what you get. You know, it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Completely. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died. Let's do some rapid fire because I want to get to you kind of answered a little bit about the Grisabella. You just need her out of there, but we'll get to that last question.
Okay.
So my first question is of rapid fire is if you could go on for one night, any cat, it doesn't matter, male, female, just you could go on for one night. Who do you want to perform as?
Oh my gosh. Old Jute.
Old dude. Okay. Okay. Who are your favorite and least favorite cats from a personality standpoint? So like which character would you want to hang out with and which character would bug you a little bit? And I'm asking this as you, Leigh, not as Jenny or Demeter,
Okay.
but for you. Yeah.
For me. Oh, yeah, probably. Oh, I don't know. This is crazy because I hang out with the kittens a lot in the.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're beautiful. The people I worked with, the little kittens, were the most gorgeous human beings to work with. So they were great to hang out with. McCavity. That.
Yeah. Yeah. Favorite song in the show?
Well, Memory. It is.
Yeah.
It is
Okay.
beautiful. Yeah. That's why it's a hit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's massive hit, and it's love it. I always that's a fun one, so I like to always pull something from this. So, the World Cup's coming up, and if you could stick one cat song for somebody to go dance to at the halftime of a World Cup game, which song are you sticking into the halftime show for the World Cup?
The opening.
The opening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. I was thinking Skimbleshanks.
Oh, Skimbleshanks. I tell you what, the one thing about cats is the songs will go around and around and around in your head. You'll wake up in the middle of the night singing songs, and Skimbleshanks is one of those songs. You go,
Completely.
It does not leave you. And there are times where you go, I don't ever want to hear that song again.
Yeah.
Not at
like
3
the
a.m. in
opening
the
would
morning.
be great.
Yeah, the opening. I love the opening.
would be great.
Yes.
I still can't get over the ball just playing it at halftime of a football match.
Oh, can't you?
That is so funny. And it's just so funny to me
big
because it's so
flags
different.
opening up. Yeah. And it was visually very, patterns being made by all the dancers and flags being pulled out, and fantastic. Quite spectacular.
Yeah. Okay, so my $1 million question is I argued at length that I don't think Grisabelle is the right Jellicle choice. So I want to hear who is your Jellicle choice and why.
Well, I think Gus should go.
Team Gus.
Gus, yeah.
I agree.
Yep. Goodbye. Move on.
Yeah. So I do, you said something earlier that kind of made me think a little bit about how I've argued a lot that I think that Grisabella should stay with you all for the year. Like she can be welcomed back and have her redemption arc.
And earn her stripes again.
You're like, yeah. But you were like, no, get rid of her. Like you're tired of her. So is that part of like the reason that you think that she's ready to go? It's because you're just like, all right, I'm willing to let you back, but also like leave.
Well, I think when we want her to leave, it's not to go to the Heaviside layer.
You just want her to leave.
I want her to leave our little tribe and our junkyard and our safe place. You left it. We weren't good enough for you back before. Now you've come back. You're interrupting our big night, and you want to step in and go to the Heaviside layer. We don't want that. So go away. So when she does get chosen, that's where I think a lot of the story of the show is where it's forgiveness. It's we forgive her and we go, yes, well, she probably does need to. I don't know. And what is the Heaviside layer anyway? Like, that's always a big question.
That's the complete question for anybody that argues with or against this is that what your definition of that is, because I viewed it as death when I saw the show. And I was like, you sing this beautiful number. Your family finally welcomes you back. You've spent this whole time, being completely an outcast. They say, yes, we want you. And then it's like, and now we're going to kill you.
Yeah.
Like, now we're going to.
I think on any.
And so that was what didn't sit with me.
No, well, see, on any directional level, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that the cat dies now and goes to cat heaven. It's always been directed as you're the chosen one to go to this new life up in the Heaviside layer, which is the cat. Well, they never say it's a cat heaven and that the cat dies. You've been chosen just to have a new life, a new beginning. You've used your 9 lives, see the 10th one, but you're going to live it up there, which is better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's where my argument's been.
I guess it's however you want to interpret it. I'm not so open to interpretation.
Completely. And, there's like 4 or 5 people in the world that can truly answer this. And so we can ask them. I was recently next to Andrew Lloyd Webber at the opening of the Joel Cabal, and I did not want to answer because I don't want to know. I'd rather keep arguing with people.
Right.
And have him tell me definitively his answer. But it is kind of an open-ended question that makes the difference in the argument of what you believe that next thing is.
Yes, because I also go, well, why do we all want to go there? If, as other cats, yes, take me, I want to go. Why? If it is the death thing, you're done. It's meant to be a better place that you go to, whatever that is.
True. Whatever that is. Who knows? And that's the beauty of it. And that's where, you should ask your confused husband who had no idea what he was watching if he has any interpretation of what the Heaviside layer is.
Yes, I should actually. We should have that little conversation.
And I'm assuming nobody in your cast talks about this. Like, that debate is not happening.
No, I do remember too. I think I worked with a performer. He'd done the show before, and he came back this time in an interview, and he said, "I still have no idea what Cats the Musical is all about. Second time around." So it's what you make of it. You can.
Yeah.
And I had one of the young little cats come up to me, and she goes, "You're my mother." I go, "Oh, am I? Okay, I'm glad I know that now." But her story was that I was her mother in the show. So I think for every cast, you can create different connections. And that's the beauty with the direction, is they allow you to do that. And they want you to do that. The more that you can create your own story, the more it becomes an individual performance. And every production is very, very different with its characters and how they interact. Yes, there's a through line, but there's so much else that can be created, and you've been given the freedom to do that as well.
I think that's why it works and has lasted for so long, because it isn't a 100% set. You've got to do this way every single night with zero interpretation. There are things that have to be done like that, but you have a little bit more freedom to play, which has to make it a lot more fun and easier as a performer to have a little bit more of that. Tonight I might be a little bit more standoffish to this other cat that I, just because maybe they bugged me as the person or
absolutely.
Just in general. And it's not going to change this. There's a super fan that might notice, but most people are not going to notice that difference, but it makes it fresh for you as a performer.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the key, to do it 8 shows a week. Night after night after night. You need to find that joy in that. And there are days where your body just aches, and just crawling on your hands and knees is like, and to get from the floor to standing, and to find different ways to do that is, it's, I guess, part of the craft and the discipline of being a musical theatre performer. But they also say that if a person came and watched the show night after night, each night they should be able to follow a different character, and they'd get a whole different perspective of the show. And that's where the commitment and the focus of being the cat and having your own story is important.
Yeah, you can't take a night off because you're out there. You're all out there. And the first time I saw it, I really watched who was singing. I kind of followed that. The second and third time, especially now, the most recent times when I see it, now that I know way too much,
Yep.
Early on, I watched the twins. Like I watched Tantamount because I'm fascinated by them turning faster. And so like there are things like that you start to pick up as you learn more about the show. And there is a fandom that comes in and will watch like just Syllabub tonight or just this person tonight and really hone in on how they're interacting with people. And a lot of the lore of Cats comes from a super fan who has watched two performers who might have done something that night that does not necessarily always match what you would expect. And they're like, ooh, maybe this is now a relationship between those characters, or this is now something that happens here. And that's where a lot of these stories come from.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful to have that freedom on stage to play and perform. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. This has been so fun. Is this truly the last time? Are you saying no more to Cats ever, or is you still open to it?
Never say never.
Now it's now and forever, truly, for you.
Yes, it's lovely. My husband said when I left the last show, he said, get your tap shoes, because my tap shoes have little sparkles all over them. I said, why do we want my tap shoes? I'll just sit in the car. He goes, no, get your tap shoes. So I asked, and I was gifted my tap shoes, and now they sit in a beautiful light box at the end of our bar.
Nice.
And I look at them and I go, I'm so glad he suggested I get them, because I look at them and I go, yeah, it's a lovely token and memory to have. So every time I see them and light the box up, I think of my little tapping routine. So it's lovely. It's lovely.
Awesome.
But never say never. You never know what's around the corner.
Yeah. How can people stay in touch with you? Either social media, website, anything for whatever's next for you?
Yeah, well, Instagram, social media. Yeah, I'm not a huge poster, posting, but yes, Instagram, I'm on Instagram. So yeah.
Awesome. We'll link that.
And hopefully something else comes up soon. I'll be on the stage.
Yeah. Whatever the next thing on the stage, everyone will have to come see you.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. Beautiful.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experiences.
Oh, thank you so much, Mike. It's lovely to meet you.
Great to meet you. And thanks everyone for listening to this episode of The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of Cat Feed. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any else podcast. Follow us on social media at The Wrong Cat Died, or check our website, thewrongcatdied.com.